We'll declare the meeting open. Welcome, councillors. We have no apologies for today. We'll read the affirmation. We recognise the traditional owners of the land. We are inspired by the early pioneers and by those who gave their lives for our country. We now ask God's blessing on our deliberations and on our commitment to build a better lifestyle and environment. I'd also like to advise that this council meeting is being recorded and live streamed to through council's YouTube channel. The recording will also be made available on council's website. Whilst all care is taken to ensure that privacy is maintained, please be aware that your presence may be recorded. Any disclosure of conflict of interest? None declared. We'll move into officers' reports. Item 3.1, recreation user fee waiver.
You're muted.
I'm just on mute there, so or just on Eddie. I was the mute button. I'll move a motion if we're wanting one for some discussion, and the motion is that council reviews the current user fees formula and waivers the user fees for season 2020 to 2021.
Okay, I have a motion from Murray. Get a seconder for that motion.
I'm happy to second.
Second, Councillor Eddy. Councillor Emerson, you used to speak on it.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. We've been having some considerable discussion with the user groups recently about the formula that is used for the calculation of user fees for both North Park, Central Park and Lord Nelson Park in St Arnaud. The user fee formula seems to be rather unfair. Added to that is that some of the users are asking that their fees be dealt with again under the hardship policy due to the fact that they've had reduced seasons, they've had COVID incidents, and as a means of allowing them a little bit more time for our organisation to get a better formula in place, they are now asking for the fees to be waived for the 2020-21 season. In total, the amount to be waived is in the vicinity of $17,000 for all of the users, both in St Arnaud and Stawell. And I don't think it's an unreasonable amount that we could waiver again until we get the new policy in place, and also to allow the organisations a little bit more breathing space during their recovery from the COVID epidemic. It's not something that we can keep considering. I don't believe we've already given them 2 years of fee waivers, but I think another 1 year for the 2020-2021 season would be a help to all of the user fees. So I commend the motion to the council. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Councillor Starcevic.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Certainly, I second the motion. I had a great deal of time to think about the discussion we had. I have tracked back on some of my views regarding the clubs that can and do charge gate fees. However, they would not have been able to access grounds due to COVID and other reasons. So I confirm I agree with the logic that all clubs should have their fees suspended for that particular year, 2020 to 2021, as Councillor Emerson has said. So that takes care of one half of the motion. The other half of the motion regarding the review is long overdue, and it will also be more encompassing of other clubs that use it. However, I would like to point out that Councillor Haswell has indicated that there is an alternative on the available for discussion, which is a review on user charges and themselves, whether they are in fact levied and whether the clubs are accountable for the upkeep of the various rooms. I think that needs to be part of the review process. So I do commend the motion forward. Thank you.
Any other councillors wish to speak?
Yeah, I just wish to speak against the motion.
Go ahead.
We haven't had a lot of discussion about this particular motion either, this particular agenda item, but I agree there's a lot of clubs that are probably struggling and they've probably been, had hard times with COVID. But there's a lot of other people that do pay fees and a lot of sporting clubs that run their own sporting clubs. So if you have a golf club, you run your own golf club. If it's on Crown land, you buy your own slasher, you cut your own grass, you pay for your own petrol, you pay for your own electricity. The clubs, they don't get these benefits. And $17,000 mightn't sound like a lot of money, but it's enough money to fix a few potholes or to be put somewhere else. The part of the user fees is that we have these beautiful facilities and we can maintain them, and I think we should maybe review them. There are some clubs struggling, so if they're struggling, I'm all for reviewing them, but I'm not for waiving them. So I'm actually against this motion.
Okay. Any other councillors wish to speak for or against the motion?
Yes, I'll speak. Thanks, Mr. Mayor. I'm just, trying to, I guess, just think about all the information that's been provided to us and feeling like we have had to make a really quick decision and there's some lacking information. So I'm not really comfortable with determining a motion either way. And I think each organisation or sporting group we're talking about has individual circumstances, and I'd be happy to review those individually. But in terms of just a blanket fee waiver, I think that's not something I'm overly comfortable with, given that some clubs probably can afford it more than others, and we still need to be gaining some sort of revenue, or this is coming, like, where else is this money coming from? It'll be coming from ratepayers as well. And I just get confused because we talk about 17,000 not being much, but then we talk about other things in terms of like $10,000, and that's a lot. So, which one is it? I'm just unsure as to, be nice to have a consistent approach to some of these things. So I think in that sense, we need to be still gaining revenue and discussing it more one-on-one. So I'd prefer, I know that's not the motion that's on the table, but I'd be preferring to look at individual circumstances and the clubs that have written to us saying they are experiencing financial hardship and dealing with those separately.
Okay. Any other councillors wish to speak for or against?
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, I will. I'll speak for the motion because I think we've had the 2 years of COVID where they were waived, and clubs in our area really haven't picked up to pre-COVID support. And I think one more year wouldn't hurt us that much to waive the fees until we have to come up with a better system for each individual club. The system we use now doesn't seem to work. So, I'd be for the motion on that, just for one more year, blanket waiver, and make sure we've come up with a lot better system before this time next year.
Any other councillors wish to speak for or against? Just a couple of comments I'll make. Look, I agree with a lot of the comments I've made. The sporting clubs in the bigger towns do get a pretty good run at it, and it has been challenging over COVID. I know being involved in trying to get a food and wine festival up, it has been a real challenge because the costs keep coming. The larger clubs do have more expense. I certainly sympathise with ones in the rural areas. They have to find their own monies, their own costs, and it is a challenge. But I think if we do it for one club, we need to do it for all. And one more year, I think probably allows the clubs to fully recover and continue on. There's been quite a bit of change in the last few years. Additional clubs have come on board. Some clubs have gone by the wayside. So it certainly is a challenge to come up with a fair and equitable system of recouping some of the costs that go into keeping the grounds in a fairly pristine condition, I might say. And there's been a lot of money spent on our sporting facilities, and that comes out of ratepayers' pockets to maintain those facilities. So we need to recoup some funds to help maintain those facilities in a very, very good condition, and that will certainly be a challenge. So I'll be voting in favour of the waiver for this particular time, but certainly we need to, it can't go on. We need to recoup some money in the future. Councillor Emerson, you wish to sum up?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Not too much to say other than I respect everybody's positions on this, but I just think it's a reasonable thing for us to do this time, and I commend the motion. Thank you.
Okay, I'll put the motion. All those in favour, raise your hand so I can see. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Those against? 2 against. Motion's carried. Okay, we need a motion now to go into closed council to deal with a contractual item. So could I get a motion to move into closed council?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, happy to move a motion that the Northern Grampians Shire moves into closed council to deal with a confidential matter.
Get a seconder for that?
I'll second that, Mr. Mayor.
Councillor Haswell, all in favour? Those against? That motion's carried.